Hello, my dear students. With exams right around the corner, let's make one of the most important chapters, index numbers, super simple. You see these headlines everywhere, from the news to your Instagram feed, but what do they actually mean? They might sound complicated, but I promise the idea behind them is incredibly simple. From the price of your favorite chocolate to the value of huge companies, numbers are constantly in motion. Prices go up, they come down, and trying to keep track of it all can be confusing. But don't worry. Statisticians have a powerful tool that helps us make sense of all these changes with just a single number. It's a special kind of number that helps us compare changes over time, like prices today versus prices last year. It gives us a clear trend. Simple, right? Think of 100 as our starting line. If we are measuring prices, any number bigger than 100 means prices have increased, and any number smaller than 100 means prices have decreased from that starting point. Okay, let's dive into how these numbers are actually made. Don't be scared by the formulas, they are easier than you think. We'll start with the most basic method. For this method, the steps are easy. First, add up all the new, current prices. We'll call this sigma P1. Then divide that by the sum of all the old prices from our starting point, or sigma P0. Finally, just multiply by 100. That's it. But there's a big problem with this simple method. It treats every item as equally important. In real life, does your family spend as much on biscuits as they do on house rent? Of course not. A change in rent affects your budget far more. This brings us to the solution, a weighted index. Think of your dinner thali. The rice and dal take up most of the plate. They have more weight than the small piece of pickle on the side. A weighted index works the same way, giving more importance to the things that make up a bigger part of our spending. There are two famous ways to calculate a weighted index, named after the statisticians who created them, Laspeyres and Paasche. They each answer a slightly different question. Laspeyres' method is like taking your family's shopping basket from many years ago, the base year, and asking how much would that exact same old shopping basket cost with today's new prices. It uses old quantities, or Q0, as the weights. Now, because this method doesn't account for people switching to cheaper alternatives when prices rise, it can sometimes overstate the true cost of living increase. Paasche's method asks a different question. It looks at your shopping trolley today with all the new things you buy and asks, how much does my current shopping trolley cost compared to what it would have cost in the old base year? It uses new current quantities, or Q1, as weights. This method reflects current buying habits, but because it includes those new, cheaper alternatives, it can sometimes understate the true impact of inflation. Now that you know the basics, let's meet the celebrity index numbers you hear about every day. Once you understand them, you'll start noticing them everywhere. In India, these three are the big ones. The CPI tells us about the cost of living for families like ours. The WPI tells us about prices at the wholesale level, and the Sensex tells us how the stock market is doing. Now, this is really interesting. This chart shows the weights inside the CPI. As you can see, food and beverages have the biggest weight at nearly 46%. This means that changes in food prices have the single biggest impact on the country's official cost of living. So when you see a statement like this in the newspaper, what does it actually mean for your family's budget? It's not just a random number. What it means is that the purchasing power of our money has gone down. A basket of goods that cost 100 rupees back in 2001 would now cost 277 rupees to buy. In one word, that's inflation, beta. And Sensex? It's the index for the 30 biggest and most important companies in India listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange. A rising Sensex shows that investors are feeling confident and happy about the Indian economy's future. Now for the most important part. Let's solve a typical exam question together so you can get full marks. Pay close attention, this is a very common type of question. Take a look at this question. This is from exercise 14 in your textbook. It gives us prices for the base year 1980, the current year 2005, and the weights for each item, like food, clothing, etc. Let's walk through the solution. The first step is to calculate the price relative for each item. That's just a simple index for each item individually. New price P1 divided by old price P0, multiplied by 100. You see that in column R. Next, we multiply that price relative, R, by its given weight, W, to get the final column, WR. The last step is to add up everything in the WR column and divide it by the total of all the weights. And we get the final answer, 181.6. What does this mean? It means the cost of living increased by 81.6% from 1980 to 2005. See, it's so easy once you know the steps. So, let's quickly recap the key points for your exam. Keep these ideas in mind, practice a few more problems, and you will do wonderfully. You've got this. That's all for today's explainer. Before you go, think about this final question. How might our CPI shopping basket change in the next 10 years? Maybe things like mobile data or online subscriptions will become more important? It's something to think about. Keep studying hard, and I'll see you next time. All the best.